conscientiousness is the only thing that's science-backed that literally correlates to wealth. So, like science-backed fitness and all of that, like this is the only science-backed wealth measure, all right? So, number one is orderliness, preferring structure, organization, and a lot of people see or look at the Wolf of Wall Street
I think it's messy
and
all
think
over
like,
the place.
people make a lot of money by being like all over the place, cocaine, deal there, like party, like it's not like that at all. It's like complete antithesis. So it's orderliness. Like even Ty Lopez, he made a YouTube video. He's like, you need to be OCD about wealth. Like, where's this cent going? Like, boom, boom. Meticulous about your costs.
Yeah.
Like, very, very. And then dutifulness, a strong sense of responsibility and moral obligation. So, bearing responsibility, essentially. And if you have these traits, you're much more likely to make a lot of money. Self-discipline, okay, pretty self-explanatory. And then achievement striving, a drive to set and reach ambitious goals. Cautiousness, thinking things through before acting, avoiding unnecessary risks. And then, Alex also has these three things like the impulse control.
Let me actually summarize
do
that.
that.
So Jordan Peterson actually, he said this in a different way, and I could directly link that to what Alex Hormozi said. So Alex Hormozi just sort of, shot from the hip, and he was just like, three things that people need to be successful is crippling insecurity, impulse control, and superiority complex, okay? And then on a completely different podcast, I heard Jordan Peterson speak about, this mouse study that they did, okay? And so essentially, they took a mouse, they strapped a rope against a spring at the back of his tail, and then they put a tube and like a cylinder like tube, and then at the front end of the tube they whiffed the smell of cheese to sort of measure how strong the mouse is trying to get to the cheese with the spring at the
like
back on
force.
his the force. And they did the exact same experiment, but they also whiffed the smell of a cat from behind the mouse. And the mouse actually pulled 3 or 4 times harder. I can't even exactly remember what the measurement was.
Ask Jamie.
Ask Jamie. Pull that up, Jamie. But whatever
Jamie.
the amount was.
You? Yeah. So, Jamie, we are currently... How do you even explain this? Like, what's the experiment of the mouse where is in a tube on the one side is cheese and on the other side is a cat?
No way. No way.
Terrible.
Jamie's not going to pull that
No,
up.
he's got it. You're referring to an experiment in behavioral psychology.
No ways.
Often used in illustrate approach avoidance. A predator.
How much time stronger did the mouse pull it?
Oh yeah, I didn't even say.
I'm saying 2.8.
2.8? So there's an experiment where they just use one variable, the cheese, and another one where he uses both the cheese and the mouse. How much stronger, the cat. So how much stronger is the second one with the cat and the cheese than the one with just the cheese?
I'm saying 2.8. And we'll get into what this symbolizes when it comes to Alex Hormozi now. Let me just see what it just says here.
I think ChatGPT needs to do it like a bit shorter. Like there's no need to do all these.
All of that. Do you see a amount?
Why this matters.
Anyway, so while Jamie is trying to work that out, essentially, the cylinder or the tube is directly correlated with impulse control. Okay, the mouse wasn't looking at anything else; was just looking at the cheese. The cheese is essentially sort of your goal, or essentially a superiority complex. 2 to 3 times stronger. Okay, 2.8. So that's exactly perfect. So the cheese is sort of like the goal. You need to run towards something, or impulse control, superiority complex sort of mean like, I am worthy of this goal. I can do it. I'm better than everyone else. I will make this happen 100%.
That's the belief before ability.
And then the last one is the cat. You need to also run away from something, which is then crippling insecurity. So those 3 things. Crippling insecurity, superiority complex, and impulse control. Cat, cheese, and then the cylinder. Yeah. And so you want to run towards something, so have a goal. You want to run away from something, so essentially proving something to yourself or proving other people wrong or whatever that may be. And then the last thing, you need to be able to control your energy and where you place that. And those 3 things, and also impulse control, superiority complex, and crippling insecurity. One thing that all three of those have in common is they are terrible for you all like at once. Like if you just have crippling insecurity, that's obviously bad. If you just have superiority complex, it's also extremely bad, you know. But all three of them combined is like a superpower.
What about impulse control? If you just
impulse control can also be bad. Like you can't just focus on playing games or just focus on your work. Like you need to also focus on like it's like juggling 4 balls: health, wealth, love, happiness. You need to do all 4 of those. There can probably be a better explanation to impulse control, but yeah, I think that's a good experiment. Something that I wanna do you wanna add something to that? Or?
Yeah, we talked about what was it? The buyout number.
Oh yeah.
So there's something I just wanna.
That's what I wanted to get to that still. Yeah.
Yeah. So the real winners are those who can transcend the game and not even play. So that's something that Naval said, Naval Ravikant, and we talked about this quite a lot.
We talked about this in Bali. Exactly, we talked about this in Bali.
Yeah. And it's the whole thing of, so the real winners are those who can literally just transcend the game. And the game is like, you know, the business game, the money game, the status game, all of that.
Like the red Ferrari, the mansion, staying in Dubai.
That's the goals, all of that. And just go straight to the conclusion, this will make me happy. Like we just said, Tim Ferriss or Chris Williamson asked Tim Ferriss, like, what's the one thing, you know, you thought would be this amazing? And he said it was money. So, you know, they all say this, so it's probably true. And we also literally said. But, yeah, if you can transcend that, that's like the real winners.
Yeah. It's like knowing that money, like Andre just said right now, it's like knowing that money won't bring you happiness, but still then playing the game to figure out for yourself, compared to the guy that was just like, oh, it doesn't bring me happiness, cool, then I just won't pursue it. And then you just present. You know, it's like the monk and the business person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I want to, you know, it's like a different skill that I learned this year was my to-do list and what's uitgawes in Engels?
Expenses.
And expenses. So I have a to-do list and an expenses list. This is a game changer for me. So I actually do it on notes. And so if you guys can see here, it's sort of like, you know, there's like little blocks and I just tick them off as soon as I do something. And it gives me a bit of like a dopamine spike when I do it. But I don't really like having a complete structure. I want to feel like I have freedom. But I still like knowing that I've done everything I wanted to do. So even though I'm not as controlled or like a structure freak, it's still valuable to see everything you want to do, make a list of it, and then make it happen. And so something that I learned this year was this to-do list trick. It's actually something that I've never seen anyone else do. So I got a daily, then under that a weekly, and then under that a monthly. And then essentially every new week, I'll have my to-do list of every day, and it will change every single day sometimes. But then every single day, I try and add a new weekly goal to that day, if that makes sense.
What's an example of like
so let's say, for example, a weekly goal would be to film a podcast that day or that week. And let's say maybe finish a vlog and let's say finish a module in the community. So let's say then on Monday and Tuesday, I might add the let's finish this module. And then the Monday, I will add, I want to finish the scripts and let's say the slides. And then Tuesday, film it. And then I'll tick those off, you know. And then that also comes with my weekly list. And so that's sort of how I structure it. And I find that to be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I've also done a lot of goal setting stuff. And I used to be like the guy, like late at night, 6 p.m., whatever, like when I'm done with work, write down all my, you know, to-dos for the next day, you know, because your subconscious, goes through it and everything and solves problems, which I still think is good. But like I was doing the same thing every single day. I was like, bro, I'm just wasting time. I'm writing down the same thing every single day because I do the same thing every single day. It's like wake up, do the morning routine, work on a module 4 hours, eat, go for a walk, gym, sales calls, dinner, you know, rest.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing every single day. So I was like, okay, this is BS. And I just do weekly goals now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so only weekly goals.
Yeah. I would say that's exactly what I'm doing. I just like the idea of ticking the other stuff as well, you know, like morning walk, take off, you know. And then another thing that I mentioned, expenses to do a list or whatever. So I got 3 sort of lists here. So I got a business one and then all my expenses. And I got a personal one with all my expenses. This might seem extremely particular, whatever, but I like knowing exactly where all my subscriptions and how much money is flowing in and out of the business. And it's a lot easier to do it as soon as you do it from the get-go. Like whenever you open a new business, as soon as you get new expenses, pop it in on the list. And now I know exactly what is the amount that I need per month to keep the business going, how much I need for 12 months in advance. Like I want to have at least 12 months personal and business capital in my business cash, you know, like they call that a runway. I think 12 months is more than enough. And I like having a budget list. So that might also tie back into the orderliness that Anu just spoke about previously. I don't know if you have a list like that, but I know exactly where every single penny goes in my business. Obviously, when we transcend a certain amount, like when we get very big, it might be difficult to do that. But at this current moment, I find it to be more valuable than not doing it.
No, it's very important to be. You have to be meticulous about your costs.
But like Alex Hormozi can't do.
That story of is Rockefeller the guy with the steel?
I think
or Carnegie. Anyway,
one of them.
Yeah, it's like they had like this containers, right? And they did 40 drops of metal for like the railways or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that just goes to show. So it's 40 drops of metal in this container, and then Rockefeller whatever was like, let's test 39, like one less drop, which is crazy. And it was like, okay, it's perfect. Like, the 40 was overflowing a bit or whatever, yeah. And then 39 was like the perfect spot. So that's one drop of aluminium, right? And people are just gonna say, oh, that's crazy. But over the span of their business, over 5 years, with like the amount of volume, which is also important, they saved like hundreds and thousands of dollars in like the 1900s or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you need to be extremely meticulous about your costs, and don't underpay, but like don't, how do I say this? Like, don't do unnecessary payments. That's essentially it. And watch where your stuff is going, because like literally with me, 2 subscriptions went down. Was like $2,000, like just out of nowhere. I was like, what just happened? So you need to be aware.
You need to steward your money. That's a good way to look at it.